Hi guys, welcome. I'm at a beach, so you can see I'm tropical if I'm not wearing a sweater. And it's a nice warm 84 degrees where I am, and snowing at home, so thank goodness I'm here. But I wanted tonight to talk about a habit that is a good habit, but a habit that most of us may not think of as a habit. Actually, we might think of it as a skill, but it's a habit, and the subject is listening. So how many of you guys know somebody who listens really well, who you don't pay? Probably not many people. And that's because listening has become sort of this lost art, right? So like we listen usually with the intent to reply. And the idea of listening is something that was taught obviously since the beginning of time. And only in the past couple hundred years has it been a real issue, especially maybe in the last 50 as technology and innovation has increased, that we've really lost the art of listening. So why is that? So like in early days, right? So people congregated around fires and told stories. And if you like to camp like I do, you still partake in that type of activity. But stories were a way of passing history down. There's no written word. And people learn to listen, right? And now everybody's on their smartphones and, having inputs and distractions of technology. We actually are taught that we don't have to listen. And so you may be thinking like, that's totally okay, but why is it important to listen? Well, it's super important to listen because listening builds trust. And trust is the most important thing that we can have in all of our relationships. And here's my little cheat sheet. So, in relationships with other people, if people trust us, our relationships go well. And if people trust us, we're able to have, relationships that can endure sort of like the test of time, right? Usually can have the bumps in the road. And how do we build trust with others? And usually that's through listening. So you're saying, okay, well, now I know that listening is important, but what does listening look like? And so, I'm taught as a coach to listen to my clients. And actually a big part of my training was on how to listen. And it sounds funny because it seems like innately we should know how to do that. But literally we did have a lot of training because it's something that people don't do anymore. So for listening, here's my cheat sheet. There's four tips I have for listening. So the first one would be, active listening. So focusing on the person that is talking to you. So a good rule of thumb is to focus on their lips when they're speaking, look in their eyes, put down whatever you're doing, and actually give them your attention, right? So by giving them your attention, you're actually letting them know that you're fully open to receive whatever they have to say. And the second thing is not to interrupt, and that's part of this active listening, because when you interrupt, it's like someone told me earlier today, it's like tripping somebody on the sidewalk, right? So you're like emotionally tripping someone up. If you interrupt them, you actually are taking the wind out of their sails. So the second thing for good listening skills is pause before you reply. And that means that give it like 3 seconds after someone says something to respond to them, right? So I read somewhere that most of us actually in conversation aren't actually listening. We're actually waiting for our chance to speak. And that's two different things, right? You're not trying to understand what the other person's saying. You're actually waiting for your chance to say your piece. So that's not the same thing. And that's why relationships get super tripped up, because people are just sort of interjecting their own opinions and they're not listening to each other. The third thing is questions for clarification. So if you don't really understand what the other person's saying, a great way to, to sort of clarify their understanding is saying, how do you mean? And this is an invisible question because you can actually say, how do you mean, multiple times. You can say, how do you mean? And then you can say, they repeat what they're saying or expand or expound on what they're saying. And then you can say, well, how do you mean exactly? Which allows the other person to even expand more and feel listened to, and therefore build rapport with you. And then the last one is verbal backtracking or feeding it back. So I call this one like the acid test of listening. So if we repeat back what someone else is saying, not in a sort of nagging way, but in a way that says, you know, with my clients, I'll often say, you know, so what you're saying is, and I'll repeat what they said to me, and then I'll ask them, did I get that right? And they always feel heard, or I hope so. And this is a really useful skill, especially in relationship with others. Even just doing verbal backtracking where you can say, you know, did you say this? Or it's important to me to get it right, what I heard, and responding. Because, you know, when you hold someone else's sort of wishes, aspirations, desires, and you're able to just hold it and not fix it, and just, you know, say, I hear you, you build an amazing resource of emotional bond, trust, rapport. And that's what we all want, right? So next time or tomorrow, try to listen to one person, and I think you're going to be super impressed with the results. So thanks so much, you guys, and you guys have a good one, and I'll see you next Monday. Oh, and don't forget, on April 25th, this upcoming Sunday, please join my 14-day detox challenge. No booze for 14 days. You can join on the Habits for Happiness page. You can join the event, and I'll ask for your email, or you can DM me for more information. And every day you'll get a daily email from me. You'll be invited to a private Facebook group where your collaborators can cheer you on. I already have 50 people signed up, so join the crew. Lots of encouragement, and we'll be talking about good habits we can adopt, and taking this little sober, curious journey. So thanks, you guys, and see you next Monday. And DM me if you have any questions. Make sure to listen.